Welcome to the E-commerce Profits Podcast, where we feature top founders and experts in the e-commerce industry and take an in-depth look at the struggles and successes in growing e-commerce brands profitably.
Josh Chin here. I'm the host of the E-commerce Profits Podcast, where we feature top experts and shakers in the e-commerce industry, and we go behind the scenes and struggles and successes in growing a brand. Now, this episode is brought to you by Chronos.agency. If you're a direct-to-consumer e-com brand that's ready for next level growth and to unlock the optimal customer lifetime profits through email marketing, Chronos is your company. We have helped hundreds of brands get over $70 million in return from email alone, and our clients get an average of 3,500% ROI from our efforts. We've worked with brands like Truly Beauty, Elias Skin, the Udi, and many more. Now, the next step is to email us at sales@chronos.agency to learn more, or you can go to our website, chronos.agency, to read about us and find out more. Now, today's guest is Justin Christensen, the co-founder and president of Conversion Fanatics, a full-service conversion rate optimization company helping e-commerce and SaaS companies like Burt, Renew Life, Ministry of Supply, and many, many more increase conversions and marketing performance by 30% to 1,850%. Justin, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Josh.
First question. Now, before we hit on record, we talk a little bit about some of the things that most people wouldn't know about you. And you told me that you were a competitive rodeo bull rider throughout your teens. Tell me a little bit more about that and how you transitioned from being a bull rider to entrepreneurship and running an amazing company.
I don't even know about the transition, but yeah, I grew up in...
There must have been a link.
I grew up in a very, very small town of about 400 people.
Wow.
In a very farming and ranching rural community where I just kind of grew up around rodeo and horses and animals and farming. And we got into, fell in love with the sport of rodeo and, rode anything that I possibly could in my childhood, which transitioned into, becoming an actual and starting to compete as a bull rider. I did that from the time I was like 13 all the way up till I was like 21 when I got put in the hospital for 7 days in a wreck from bull riding. And, vowed that basically my dad said he'd disown me if I did it anymore. So I continued on and, found, luckily my dad was very entrepreneurial. Always had something going and working for himself, and just instilled that hard work ethic, and then the confidence that brought on, I guess that's my tie-in, is there's a lot of confidence building that comes, and you got to work on yourself both physically and mentally to be a competitive bull rider. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart. It's obviously you're climbing on a wild animal, and that's sole mission is to throw you off their back, and doing what we possibly can there. But yeah, just built a lot of confidence into my early 20s, and really just set myself up for, you're gonna fail, but you just got to try harder next time. And that's kind of what it is. If you don't win and you don't do what you're supposed to do in the rodeo arena, you're not going to do it. You're not going to get paid, or you're not going to earn that paycheck. And that's kind of the transition and I guess mindset that comes to it when running your own business and being an entrepreneur. If you don't perform, if you don't show up every day and do your stuff, and you're not going to get paid. And there's a lot of tie into a lot of it, and I guess it's a lot of failure to lead to success.
It's incredible. And I think it shows in your work ethic. I know you're very, very, very hardworking, and you're one of the most passionate individuals that I know in the space of conversion rate optimization. From the outside looking in, it is a pretty dry topic. But when we start to kind of think about it, it's literally printing money. Like every 1% improvement is 1% additional cash and profits in your pockets. So I'd love to dig a little bit deeper into your approach to kind of your philosophy around optimization for e-com brands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it isn't a sexy topic. It isn't, people just kind of think, it's not it used to be not a need to have, or must have. And now it's becoming that as, brands evolve and change. And my philosophy around it has changed, as we've shifted particularly in the last year and everything that the world has been through. Brands have been forced to change and forced to shift, and marketing has had to change. And I come from a very strong direct response marketing background, and it's becoming less and less of that. It's not the go, 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 sell, 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 promo all the time, which a lot of cases it used to be. Everything was an excuse to run a sale or a promotion or, launch a new product or do whatever. There's some of that, but we're finding that it's less about the immediate instant gratification than it is the long-term scalability and the viability and the growth and the experience that you create for the on-site visitors and how they interact with a brand, because they become your biggest advocate, with today's social world, and the omni-channel approach. You don't know, like if I run a split test and I say, okay, button A performs better than button B, we don't know that. We can't quantify and put a number on a spreadsheet of the lasting impact that an improvement in that experience is going to be. Because if I make a better experience, that might impact customer support complaints. That might, impact cost per acquisition on ads. It might impact the referral focus. It might impact, how email marketing performs and the impact there, because I'm making a better experience on site.
Absolutely.
It's those people that and I'm seeing a shift in the mindset of a lot of business owners too, in that you can't just pound, go, 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 sell, sell, sell.
Yeah.
And they're starting to realize that. There's still a few that think that it's like they can't see the instant, immediate improvement, that they think it's all a failure and it's a scam. But it's those that stick it out and understand it and are patient with that process, because just like SEO, CRO takes time. It's just not a luxury we have. It's not, I'm good, but I'm not a miracle worker. I swing for the fence and try to win every time. But it's that shift that's happening, that people are looking at it from a long-term scalability and usability factor. And I like to think of it as, instead of conversion rate optimization, more conversion, or experience optimization. And we feel that if we can understand what really drives and motivates the audience, whether it be rearranging something on a page or adding something or removing something that'll help alleviate friction, if we can do those things and create that better experience, that's where the real magic happens and the real growth happens, instead of just throwing stuff up and hoping something sticks and we see a little bit of a bump. I always tell people, like, I can get you a bump in conversion rate. I'll just throw some fake timers, some fake urgency. We'll play a little gray hat. We'll do some of the little things, and I'll see a bump in conversion. But you might not be around in the next 6 months. You might blow out your offer. You might, irritate your audience and piss them off, and then email stops working, and all of the domino effect. And we saw it during when COVID hit. We saw brands lose 90% of their revenue. Oof. Just because they were so focused on the next promotion or the next buy one, get two free, or, they were just so driven by that side of it. And the bottom fell out. The ads stopped performing, and there's no amount of optimization you can do to fix that downward spiral. So, and then I've also seen brands with 100% month over month growth. So you see both sides of it. And I think those that embrace that process and are patient with it win the long game. And I'm seeing it day in and day out. And it's those that try to rush it and force something that's not there, and they think that more, faster are those that lose and get frustrated with it and, don't see the improvements that they need. But it's necessary now more than ever. So I don't know if that answered your question. I tend to ramble, but
I love that you talked about experience optimization, kind of looking at the big picture of how a customer's journey looks like on the website versus just CRO and optimizing for conversions in the vacuum.
Yeah.
It
makes everything. I can answer a question. Something we're testing right now is a lot of FAQs. Adding FAQs throughout the site. And, if I use the example of abandoned checkout or abandoned cart, oftentimes it's so often, the joke in the e-com world is you want a discount and just abandon the cart.
Yeah.
It's not. And sometimes you get the email before you're even left the cart, or you get the notification or something, or the text message comes through. But what if you change your thinking around that? What if you would have answered the questions better or positioned the product better in the experience leading up to checkout? That you answered their frequently asked questions. They knew what the refund policy was. They knew how to contact you if they have a problem. They understood the benefits of the product. Now, all of a sudden, you don't have an abandoned checkout issue. You have an experience issue, or you have friction leading up to checkout. Or to take it a step further, to play into the email side, which, what if they had a question? They don't care about a discount. Price is almost never the issue. That's almost never the objection, and people don't understand that. People think it is, but it's never, and even visitors think it is. It's not. It's just positioning of the value. But what if you, instead of race to the discount on the abandoned checkout, you all of a sudden told your company's story? Like, hey, we founded the company because of this. And here's our principles and our values. And here's another frequently asked question. Here's some testimonials. Here's what goes into our manufacturing process. Here's our facility. Here's all of these things that make people feel warm and fuzzy and comfortable doing business with you. Now you've created a brand loyalist. That's not just going to hurry up and get your 10 or 15% discount. That $5 to $15 or $20 isn't the issue. It's and then now you've got somebody that's going to come and buy from you time and time again because they understand what you're about. The experience is seamless, it's flawless. And if you make them happy in that process, you're going to win the long game.
I love that. Now, what are some of the biggest mistakes, or if you could share a case of brands kind of thinking about conversion rate optimization or optimization in general? What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see recurring?
They try to copy everybody else. That's one of the big ones. Is they'll see a cool site, and I'm guilty of it too. I'll steal ideas from all sorts of different brands. Be like, that's really cool. Yeah. But I think that they don't use it on purpose, meaning they don't have a reason why they're testing that other than it just looks cool or it seems cool. And I see that a lot. We'll have clients come to us and be like, hey, look, so-and-so has this on their site. Let's test it. I'm like, well, why do you want to test it? Just because it looks cool? Or what are we trying to learn from that experience? Because you got to either win or learn. And if you're not improving that, another mistake people make is thinking that a split test on their product page is going to all of a sudden magically improve their overall conversion point. We get so hung up on looking at our Shopify stats, which is absolutely terrible, by the way. Don't rely on that as your sole source of analytics, please. For the love of God, don't. I've got clients that have Shopify will only show 2.5% conversion rate, whereas their actual overall blended conversion rate, if you break it down, is over 4%. So people
Oh
get
my
so hung up on
goodness.
that data
Yeah.
that it's wrong. If you got any plugins whatsoever, your data is probably wrong. So get a second set of data. So you can't look at it from, e-com is not linear, meaning they don't, all of the inputs don't come into the same spot. So people think that their output needs to be elevated if they improve one aspect of it, meaning their conversion rate is going to magically go from 3 to 4% because we improve the product page or we improve the add to cart rate. It doesn't work like that. Numbers fluctuate, numbers float.
Yeah.
Another mistake is they focus solely on the conversion rate metric. The conversion rate metric is a relative number. If you have any growth whatsoever in your business, which I hope you do, your conversion rate's going to go up or down. Always. We see it constantly. I'll get a message several times a week saying our conversion rate dropped. It's in the tank. It's in the toilet. What are you guys doing? You're the experts. Do this. It's like, well, I'll go look. And first thing I'll go look at is traffic. And I'll see this traffic spiked this way. Conversion rate went like this.
Naturally.
Every single time.
Yep.
A metric has to give when you're manipulating other metrics. And it's almost always conversion rate. Or you did a promo that week and all of a sudden your conversion rate elevated and shot up 2 points or something silly. And then the next week they're like, my conversion rate's down 55%. It's like, no, it's not. It's back to normal. So it's focusing solely on metrics that really don't matter. Yeah. Yes, conversion rates are important, but if you look at the grand scheme and you're looking at average order value and you're looking at, abandoned checkout rates and, lifetime value and revenue per visitor and cost per acquisition and all of these other things, conversion rate becomes a secondary metric. And yes, I'm a conversion rate optimization guy, but that's not the main number I look at. I look at things on a trend, on a month over month basis or a week over week basis or a year over year basis versus, I get, companies that look at an hourly basis. And I'm like, you cannot do that. You'll drive yourself nuts. And I'm guilty of it. I'm the most impatient person out there. And I have to check myself on a regular basis to say, just look at a bigger trend, because sometimes you could have an off day on traffic and conversion rate drops one day, or, just happened last week, a new client, like my conversion rate's down 25%. Like, well, you had a bad afternoon. It's like, you can't predict Facebook's algorithm today.
Yeah.
And if you settle in and are a little bit more patient and look at it on a week over week basis or a bigger sample size, and you watch how that fluctuates and grows as your top line scales, that's where the real magic happens, as long as you're creating that experience. So back to mistakes, I would say that they're not patient in the process. They focus on the wrong metrics, and they're not optimizing. They might be split testing, or they might be trying stuff, or they might be growth hacking, which I absolutely hate that term.
Growth hacking.
I'm not a fan. Is that they think that it needs to be, they just take the wrong approach to optimization. They just assume something's going to work different or better. Another mistake is they think that the next theme or the next website design is going to be the holy grail. Bigger changes don't mean bigger results. It's oftentimes the opposite. I've seen it far too many times.
I want to dig into that a little bit. So I saw a post that you made, and I think a couple of days ago. Just because it looks better doesn't mean that it is better. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that case.
Well, that company just emailed me literally as we're talking.
Be sure to name that company.
No, I'm a little too private for that. But I hear this often. be like, yeah, optimization would sounds good, but I'm going to redesign my site first and then we'll do it. And I cringe every time I hear that. It almost never works out in the favor or the way that you think it's going to. If you exhaust incremental improvement and you understand the behaviors of your visitors and you follow that data of both qualitative and quantitative approach to optimization, and you're creating a better experience, then redesign elements, redesign parts of pages, redesign entire pages. You'll never want to redesign an entire site unless you just have serious issues and it's bugs and it's a pain. Case in point, my post from a couple of days ago on social media, company approached us. It's a lead gen company, pretty niche specific. Do a lot of phone and chat and form submissions. But they redesigned their site a couple months ago. Cost per acquisition went from like $100 to over $300 in some cases. Super high value leads. And we were testing and seeing improvements, and we just could not get the cost per acquisition to come down. We could get it to come down to like $250 or $230, but we couldn't ever get it to really come down to even to close to $150. We got to looking deeper into the data. Conversion rates in a lot of cases on the new site that they thought was based on data, literally paid a whole bunch of money to a web design firm that said it was all based on data. This site was going to be awesome. It was going to be SEO friendly. It was going to do all of these things. Conversion rates as a whole were down 55% over the previous website. So I just said enough was enough. And I told the company, I said, roll it back to the old site. Like, pull the plug, do it. Conversion rate almost instantly doubled. And then when it leveled out, day one, we saw cost per acquisition at $177, down from like $290.
From 300 effectively. Wow.
So, and conversion rates settled in at about a 22% improvement. So now we're going back and optimizing a better starting point because it has all of the key touch points. It had a ton of social proof that they left off the previous site. They had a lot of elements like videos of the founder on news programs and all of these things that could build credibility and trust in a very kind of jaded niche specific market, meaning there's a lot of scams in that market and they're not one of them. So they got to cut through the clutter. Their new site did not reflect that. So just because it looks better doesn't mean it is better. And what you or I think at the end of the day does not matter. So many people get checked in on their ego that it makes it hard to see the forest through the trees and see the improvement process that can happen. I get asked all the time, well, what do you think, Justin? Well, it doesn't matter what I think. That matters who's got the credit card out. Let's test it. Let's find out how much weight it actually holds. Do they care about that video? Do they care about that text? Do they care about that description, those images? The price, do they care about free shipping? All of these things doesn't matter what I think because I'm not normal. I see 100 sites a week. It's not, and I understand marketing and psychology and all of these things. So I see things differently than a lot of people, than the general mass market that you're selling your toothpaste to, and that are browsing Instagram constantly. I don't think like that. So what I think on what's going to work better, is it a viable option to understand why or to add something or remove something that's going to help alleviate friction in the journey? I can tell you that, but am I going to tell you how it's going to perform? No, only the visitors can tell you that. All I can do is put my best experience forward and help try to use testing and optimization to prove whether we're right on our assumptions or not. But yeah, design, I get this a lot, is especially somebody new that comes into our marketing circle, be like, well, why are you hiding the quantity selector button? Like, that seems so simple. Like, or why are you just changing that text? Or why are you just moving those reviews up on the page? Instead of, I want to redesign this entire page. It's like, yeah, you do, but you're not going to be happy with the results. And it's going to take us 2.5, 3 weeks to design it, then code it, and then do all of these things, and then hope we're going to win. In that time, I can get you to win, and with the way we're testing, and why not understand? So incremental, small changes usually have higher impact. And when people understand that, they usually win. Instead of just, I work with some very large brands. And one of them in particular hired at us about a year ago because they were just throwing stuff up on the site and hoping something stuck. Yeah, they do $150 million a year now, but they didn't do that before. And they were just tired of trying stuff and not understanding whether it was helping or hurting or not.
Right.
And now we're proving it. Like, one of the tests we're running for them right now is pulling the animation out of some icons. Literally, that's it. And let me pull it up real quick. I just looked at it this morning, and I think it was double-digit improvement by stopping the animation.
Really? Wow.
Let me
What
see.
is the attributed to? Is that just load speed, overall experience that people have, or?
So I hate movement on pages unless it's intended movement. If you're naturally, unless it's just super specific and highly intended. Okay. On mobile, it's showing a 23% improvement. On desktop, it's showing 30% improvement. Just making those icons static.
Wow, that's huge.
It is. And we're talking, that test is not even a day old, and we've got 200 some orders on it on mobile alone. So that kind of shows you how much volume that company gets.
That's incredible.
And that's only on like 25% of the traffic too. So, I mean, it's stupid high. But yeah, it's a difference. 25% RPV improvement, revenue per visitor, just by making the icon static. Revenue per visitor is what RPV stands for.
That is crazy.
It is. And that's the kind of thinking. So could I have redesigned those icons or redesigned that part of the page? Sure. But is it a friction point that's distracting? Icons to me are a supporting function. They support your overall marketing message, your free shipping, your money back guarantee, your GMO free, your gluten free, all of your supporting benefits that you have for your product should not be the main focus of your product, unless that should support your overall marketing message. I mean, there's a time and a place to, obviously, if you're marketing to gluten intolerant people, you want to make your product vegan friendly, gluten free, whatever. And that's just an example. That isn't even that company, by the way. I'm just give an example of it. But if they're flashing on the page and they're animated, that's taking away from the overall marketing message and getting them engaged in the shopping experience, which should be what the purpose of your homepage is. It shouldn't be to tell the story. It's to help the visitors understand who you are and then engage them in the shopping experience.
That's really, really cool. I mean, how often do you come to a win like this? Like, what can people expect?
From me?
I mean, obviously it's from you. And what typically happens? Because I'm not expecting this to happen every single day, right? Like no. 20% improvements every single day. That's
God,
bonkers.
I wish. I try to win every time. And obviously, I'm in the business of improvement. If I don't do that, I don't have a business. And people don't refer me to this. I don't get invited on podcasts. I don't, that stuff doesn't happen. And I'm very grateful and fortunate that I've had the career that I've had, over the last 20 years and the last 7 doing CRO as a service. But we see measurable level of improvement, whatever that might be. And this is a loaded question too, by the way. Not every business is the same. Of key or certain KPIs, measurable level of improvement on about 45% of the experiments that we run. That could be, but that's not to bottom line always. That's not just revenue. That's not just conversion rate. That's add to cart rate. That's, abandoned checkout rate. That's all of the metrics. But if we would do a spray and pray approach, which is a lot of companies think that they just need to run 100 tests and they need to hope something sticks, test a bunch of different ideas, they will win on average of about 12 to 13%. We see better than that, but we also test less. So I might only test 6 to 8 ideas a month, sometimes less than that even. But I'll win more if we embrace the process. So to expect, I'm going to give a damn about your result. I'm going to try hard, and we're going to give it our best effort to improve that overall experience and understand your visitor. If I could guess what the outcome is going to be, I'd have a much bigger agency, but I still cannot predict. I'm proven wrong every single day. But
that's beautiful.
I get to see a whole bunch of data. I get to see what's working, what's not. I get to see all the promotions, the sales, the emails, the flows, the advertisements, all of that from 50 different brands at any given time. So I get to see a lot of cool things. So if it doesn't matter, and I get this question a lot, well, what have you worked with such and such type of industry? It's like, yeah, I have. Do you sell to people? Perfect. Yeah, I've worked with people. Because that's the end of the day. I don't care if you're selling toothpaste or you're selling car washes. It's all the same. It's inputs and outputs, it's data, because it's still a female 25 to 34 that likes shopping on mobile, that browses Facebook and Instagram, that, uses an iPhone 11. It's all of those same things. I don't care what you're selling. It's all the same. We're dealing with people at the end of the day. It's understanding their behaviors, their wants, their likes, their dislikes, where the friction points are at, and solving the friction. And you mentioned I'm a little bit passionate about this, so you can a little bit kind of tell. I get fired up on this topic. Just because I see a lot of people make a lot of mistakes in this space, and they think that just there's the next best app, there's the next best theme, there's the next best something out there, and it's not out there. My favorite theme is the free one that Shopify gives you. I can customize it. I can optimize it. I can make it do what I need to do.
Yeah.
You don't need 55 plugins and post-checkout upsells that lead to this and this campaign and this flow. You don't need any of that. Have a good product at a fair price. Understand the pain point. Help the visitors find what they're looking for and lead them down to checkout. Picking up a few goodies along the way. That's optimization. It's in a nutshell. And yeah, there's some science to it, and there's some methodology behind it that's needed. But at the end of the day, it's just understanding behaviors of people. And with that, you're going to grow and scale. And if people can embrace that and be patient with that, they win.
Love that. Now, I would like to move on a little bit to kind of learning more about you. I mean, we have spoken on, so we have had a couple of events together. We've spoken a couple of times, but I never really gotten to know you as a person. So I'm curious what you're currently obsessed with. I mean, outside of CRO and business in life.
So me personally, so I'm a father of 2, family's very important to me, and it's become more of a priority this last year. I realized I used to think in business I needed to have the big office and all of the staff in office and this cool work environment and all of those things. Well, that all changed in the last year, where I'm standing in my office right now within our office. The rest of the lights aren't even on in here. And I've got the big office with the name on the building and all of this, and it's not needed. So my priorities have shifted a lot into just creating a good, stable, fun, enjoyable place for people to work. But what I'm passionate about most is really, as of late, investing. So I've been kind of big into real estate investing in the last kind of few months. Nice. I've been absolutely, well, I say I'm a little bit more than obsessed with it. I've picked up 13 rental units so far this year.
Whoa.
Multi-units. So I've got a duplex, a threeplex, and two fourplexes that I picked up this year.
Super cool. Just this year, it's only like 3 months in.
Far. And I've been done since the end of February. So I literally did it in the first 2 months.
That's insane.
Yeah, or December, I think I was part of it. But nonetheless, I'm obsessed with that. I'm obsessed with time freedom more so than I probably ever have been. I used to be the grind, always be available, work, go.
Yeah.
But particularly probably the last few months, I've completely been the opposite. I'm like, I'll get to it. It's going to get done. It doesn't need to be done this second. So even this morning with personal side, my son broke his arm this week, a couple days ago. So we're dealing with that. He's very uncomfortable. My daughter decided to not do virtual school anymore. We're planning on moving in the next couple months. So to be closer to family, and the same thing, we're closing on our dream home and all of this fun stuff that's becoming a better priority. So instead of rushing off to the office after I got back from the gym this morning, I waited an hour and I saw my get off to school, made sure my son was comfortable. And just my priorities shifted. So I came into the office. I've got, talking to you, I lined out the team on a few different things. I'm going to do some strategy sessions here. Then I have a couple more calls, and then I'm going to kind of be done for the day. Available but not so urgent. So what I'm obsessed with is really just that is, my kids are now 10 and 8. I've been fortunate to build the career and success that I've been able to do and continuing to strive for better. And I'm not stopping that, but it's embracing the processes and systems more so than just being in the grind every day. And I've got a great staff that's more than capable, that does all of the things, and I don't need to have that. So it's being closer to family and having more of those experiences with them, and just being more there. And particularly, we just had the Ice-mageddon snowstorm from hell here in Texas that doesn't happen, that basically shut us down for a week and a half. Like no power, no water, no all of that. And I couldn't get to the office. I worked from home. And it was good. I realized I could do it even with some of the distractions. And that kind of prompted the move, like what we're coming up on here in the next couple months. And it's just like I could work, I could get what I needed to be done. If I needed to have importance, I could shut myself off from everybody else. And then when I wasn't working or something wasn't urgent, I could just go play with the kids or play a game of cards or, go throw the football in the front yard or do something like that. So that's kind of where it's at. So that's kind of my passion.
I'm really interested in this because I think a lot of entrepreneurs go through cycles of just so my mentor told me this when I was just starting out in business. In life, you have 4 burners on your stove. You have I think it's health, social life, and friends. You have family, and you have business or career. Yeah. And you have a limited supply of gas. of gasoline or
Mhm.
fuel, and you can only have like one or two on high at any point in time, you're going to compromise on the other two. So I see myself going through a phase of compromising on health and social and family to focus exclusively on business and career.
Yep.
Naturally, at the beginning, when it's all survival mode and figuring things out, and then it kind of gradually evolves into family and career and health, and then family, and then the social and friends come in. But personal struggle, I kind of struggle with kind of transitioning into that kind of the prioritization of, it's not so much about business first anymore. It's yes, you know, business is important, the career is important, but
Mhm.
it's not all survival anymore. We're doing okay. Now it's
Yeah.
time to look at kind of life and family and my health and stuff. But it's hard to make that switch, especially mentally. Have you struggled with kind of making that transition at all in the past?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. My health journey has been a wild one. Um, I used to be 80 pounds heavier.
Phew, wow.
I was a functioning alcoholic. Um, I'm coming up on 8 years sober.
Congrats, man. Wow.
My wife, yeah, April, second to last week in April will be 8 years for me. So one more month. Yeah, literally one more month to the day, and it'll be 8 years. Um, and my wife went through cancer a handful of years ago, which prompted me to really get in the best shape of my life. I'm 40 years old, so I I'm in the gym 6 days a week. I eat healthy.
Nice.
I've got the single digit body fat. I've got the health
Amazing.
aspect of it, and I've maintained that. Not it didn't just happen. I've maintained that for years now. And being 40 and running a business and being stressful. So I have had that, and it's always a priority to me. Like this morning, I did not want to get up at 5:30 this morning or 5:15 when I normally get up to
Mm.
go to the gym because I had a long night with my son. My son had, with his broken arm. My wife slept on the couch with him last night. The last thing I wanted to do was go to the gym. And I struggled through my workout this morning. Even my trainer was like, "What are you doing? Like, you're usually have way more energy than this." And I didn't. I gasped my way through it, but I got through it. And it's a priority for me. Is I find that everything else becomes easier and better
Mm.
in the grand scheme because
Yeah.
I found a direct correlation to me personally. If I slip on my health or I haven't been to the gym in a while and I find myself eating garbage and just not really focusing on myself, everything else suffers. You have brain fog. You don't, I'm exhausted right now. Like literally, I'm exhausted. But for a reason. It's not like I'm partying and stuff. But yet my mental clarity is on point because I don't, because I put that as a priority, and my everything else is a direct correlation. So if business is struggling, I'm like, okay, what's going on with my health? Or
Mm.
family relationships going on, what's going on with my health?
Yeah.
Something is different. And I find that it's a direct correlation. If I focusing on myself, everything else becomes easier. Because if I exercise and eat right, I got mental clarity, I have less stress, I have less. And sure, you're going to have those spurts of super stressful and, the world testing you and trying to stop you from the next phase in growth and, the force of average or whatever you want to call it. And you're going to have those setbacks and stuff. It's just how you react to it. And the older I get and the perspective changing now to, more family and experiences and being less go, 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 win, 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 be there all the time and always on call. I think the better it is I react to it. Like, it's kind of weird. It's like you hit that certain place in business and life that, in the agency world, you're going to have clients come and go. They're going to be unhappy for certain reasons, no matter what you do. We just had this. We just had one. And it's just like, dude, I'm sorry. Like we tried and I just can't do it. We're going to go along our merry way. Here's all of everything we did and here's the improvements we got you. And I'm sorry, it wasn't exactly the improvement that we needed to get you or that you expected. But before that would be like, well, why did he leave? Let's do a survey. Let's do all of this. And like, we can't let it happen again. And I'd yell at the team and be like, we got to be better. We got to do all of this. And now it's just like, guys, here's the reasons, we got to try. Here's why. Like, let's try better next time. It's like, what can we do to fix it instead of reacting to it? And I'm becoming more tolerant of that because clients are going to come and go. And we grew 125% last year.
Oof.
We've already grown 40% this year.
Amazing.
We're only 3 months in. And we're going to have some growing pains, and it is what it is. And I find that if you just care and you communicate, everything else falls into place. And it isn't. Yes, there is that survival mode. And I remember, not too many years ago where me and my business partner didn't get paid for almost a year. But I didn't miss payroll. I didn't, there was a time where if we don't bring on a handful more clients, we're down to our last buck. It's like, I can't, or we're down to our last few pennies in the bank and we got to make it go. And if we can't, we're going out of business. Even when COVID hit, we thought we were going to lose 50% of our business when everybody freaked out, and it went the other way. We were having conversations like, what are we going to do? The business is going to close. Like, what should we do? And luckily that didn't happen. I'm very fortunate it didn't happen and we pushed through it. But my reactions to that are a lot different than they used to be. A few years ago. And I think I'm getting older and wiser, and maybe turning 40 did something to me because I turned 40 in November and I just said, screw it. I don't know if it's a midlife crisis or what, but I'm very fortunate and I still care. I still show up every day. I still try and I still, want to see the improvement, and I'm still adapting and growing and scaling and evolving. And I think every day is just a journey. And, the more we can embrace that, the better, without sounding too woo-woo or fluffy, but,
it's not. And it sounds like you're happier.
I am. And I used to be I'm not overthinking things anymore. And I tend to do that. And, we've hit a certain level of success, and they could take it away from us tomorrow. And I still strive to work towards that not happening. But, and I just keep showing up and just try to be a little bit better than we were yesterday. And that's all we can do.
Essentially, what you've done is you've applied your same principles and work to your life. You've done basically a life experience optimization. Yourself.
In a sense, yeah. It really is. And, that's all we can be. Is so many people make excuses and point blame or put something, and all I do is focus on what I can control. And I'm doing more. You hear it all the time, all this self-development stuff. I've followed it for years, but it's really only in the last year probably that I've truly embraced it. Like I can only control what I can control and how I react to certain situations. And I can only show up every day and try to be better.
Yeah.
But that's how I built the entire company. If I look back,
makes sense.
Me and my business partner threw $750 each into a bank account and started Conversion Fanatics.
Wow.
We had an idea. We didn't have I had success. So did he. But we just said, hey, what if we try this kind of as a side hustle and be like, hey, let's see what we can do here. Here's an idea. And it evolved into something, great. And, I'm very happy with what we've created. And I strive every day to be a little bit better, we've already improved this week. We've already improved our onboarding process. We've already improved our reporting process. We've already improved a couple other key aspects to make sure that just clients are taken care of. And that's what I work on every day. It isn't the sales or that. It's just I make sure that our clients get results. And if we continue doing that, you're going to win most and you're going to lose some. But it is what it is. It's service business, and we just try hard.
And that's life. Justin, what are some books or blogs or podcasts that have recently made an impact in your life?
Believe it or not, I don't read all that much anymore. I browse stuff and I don't focus on certain podcasts. I'm not a podcast listener, believe it or not as much anyway. I do some. I listen to some audiobooks periodically, but I just kind of take it all in from a bunch of different sources. Some of the best books that I've read probably in the last year, though, still do read some, is Playing to Win by A.G. Lafley, which is a book that I've read pretty much every year for the last few years. Procter & Gamble, obviously a good direct response company to follow. And I'm fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of great people that are very smart. And I've got a very small circle of influence that we share ideas and bounce each other off. And I'm in a mastermind for agencies as well. So I get a lot of ideas and input there. And I browse kind of, luckily my social circles are good and tight. And I can just, they share a lot of great insights and articles, and I follow along that, and I just kind of take it in from multiple different sources, but I'm very much in it every day. So if I have questions, I know who to go ask. If I have problems, I know who to go ask. And I can usually get some different perspective on it. And luckily I've got that kind of circle, and I get to see so much data and so much input from so many different sources that I don't find reading just for the sake of reading enjoyable anymore. Even though I'm looking out here and I've got a giant bookshelf of books in the office, and it's just not a priority anymore. I do read, but not in the truest sense of it.
Gotcha. Awesome. And I do agree. I mean, learning from experience and learning from kind of direct mentorship, if you will, from people around that you respect and trust is, I still do learn way more just by doing that than books alone, and combining that, what we learn from books, podcasts, and just the content we consume, plus the real life experiences. That's just beautiful. That's where magic happens. Justin, if people are interested to learn more about Conversion Fanatics and connect with you, where should they go?
Conversionfanatics.com is the best place to get a hold of me. And our team, you can read. I'd like to say we update our blog, but we don't. Just because we're so busy in it every day that I'm just like, well.
Yeah, exactly. That's a fair point. I mean, and your site looks amazing as well. So
yeah, thanks. It's like clean, the 7th iteration of the website that we've had since we started, or more. I think we've had probably 9 or 10 different versions of it. But yeah, I'm honestly, I haven't even been on it in months. My own site. We don't have a blog. There's still a ton of great info on there. There's a lot of cool case studies, a lot of relevant, timeless stuff. You can find information about my book there as well. You can go search me on Amazon. You can find a copy of my book. I think it's free on Kindle if you have Prime or something. And then, you can find me at onespotsocial.com/Justin Christensen. And that has links to all my social. Ton of videos out there. Me on YouTube, sharing tips and topics and tricks. And I'm available. So, if anybody has questions or comments or, wants me to take a look at something, I do this all day, every day. So I'm happy to help in any way I can.
Perfect. Justin, you are the CRO guy to go to. I tell everyone that. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the E-commerce Profits Podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get notified of future episodes.